Hey, Lyndon, how are you?
Good. How you doing?
Good, good. Thank you for doing this. Just a little bit about it is we're just kind of having little talks on our podcast with people from Alberta Team Handball and other places that have done things with Alberta Handball, have traveled, uh, and obviously you've done a lot with handball and with for
Yeah.
Alberta Handball. So thank you for doing this. You can just give a
No,
brief,
it's my pleasure.
if you can give a brief little bit about yourself before we get going.
Hey everyone. My name's Lyndon Suvanto. I started playing handball in 2006, and I've been steady with it ever since. And I honestly have no idea where my life would be without it. It changed most likely the trajectory of my life. So it's been pretty cool.
Uh, what age were you when you started?
I was 14.
14. Do you remember a bit
Yeah.
like about, I mean,
Oh, yeah, I like the story. When anyone ever asks me like how it started, it's kind of a completely by chance how I got into it. Because like my brother and the guys from Onaway, Kelly Meir was coaching them through high school program, and they were in some tournament in Ardrossan, and one of their goalies got a stomach virus. So then they put some other kid in net, and he was just awful. And if he sees this, I'm sorry, Clayton, but they put me in. They're like, just throw Lyndon in net. He can't be much worse than this guy. And then I played one game. I think it was against Bev Facey. I think Matt Ruff was playing on the other team. And then it went. And then I had a good game, and then I got invited to join the program. We did the tryouts for Brazil for '06, and then from there it was just took off. So
uh,
that's how I got into it. So.
and at that time we weren't like a sanctioned school sport, so you weren't even in high school, were you?
No, I was still in Alberta Beach, I think, at the time. Like, I was just excited to be out there. I was really into it. I remember I was really into the games that my brother was playing because they had lost an important one, and I was just shook. Like, what are we doing? Like, come on, guys. And then I was a part of the team for a game or so. So, yeah, it was cool. It's a good experience.
So then obviously you practice. Uh, I remember that because we got invited. I found out Team Canada could go to the U16 Pan-ams, but they didn't have a
Yeah,
national team. So I'm like, hey, it's a great way to promote our game in
yeah,
Alberta. So we ended up going as Team Canada with a bunch of
yeah.
guys and girls that were what? How long you played? 8 games,
Three weeks in, like
3 weeks
nothing.
in. What were? Do you remember the tournament at all?
Yeah, I remember pretty good because I remember in preparation we had played some of the older guys, the Alberta probably juniors and
Yeah.
maybe some of the seniors at the time, and we lost pretty handily at that time. So then I think my first official game with Team Alberta or Team Canada was against the Brazil national team, and we lost 67-7. Do you remember the score? And
Wasn't it?
we're like, well, we can only go better from here. And then we ended up losing even more to
Yeah, because
Argentina.
didn't like you end up having to play Argentina, but Argentina
Yeah,
had to beat you guys by a certain amount to
yeah,
be able.
it's yeah. Because I remember we had three goalies at the time, and only two goalies were dressed. The other guy was in the crowd, so I was in for the Brazil game, and we lose by 60. And then I was in the crowd for the Argentina game. Like, oh, they got scored on 74. I'm like, oh, well, that must be
Did,
pretty good.
what do you think at that? Well, I actually when we went in there, you guys almost didn't you almost beat
we
Chile
almost
or
no,
Uruguay?
we almost beat Paraguay. We lost by 2 goals,
Yeah,
and then we had a good game against Uruguay also. I remember that. But it was like we just all started, and we just kind of athletes from other sports came together and almost beat these like national teams. It was
yeah, that was
okay.
pretty
See
incredible.
this?
Did
So
did you ever keep up to date with any of the Brazilians or the Argentinians? Do you know if any of them made it like senior national team?
yeah, there was the main guy that I've been kind of with every step of the way was Erwin Feuchtmann, the Chilean.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
One of the brothers?
yeah, so he was at the tournament in Brazil. He played for Chile.
Yeah.
And we have a group photo with Team Chile and us, and he's in it, and he's kind of right near me. And then every step of the way, he was at World Championships, and then we see him all the time whenever we play Chile. So we kind of grew up against each other, and
Yeah.
obviously he went on to have a pretty good career so far. So it's pretty cool to be.
Does he know who you are? Like, do you guys keep in touch?
Yeah. We message every now and then, and when every time we see each other, we catch up or whatever, and then we'll send each other messages like, "Oh, hey, good luck with this," or "Good luck with this," and so it's kind of cool. Like
and then
like most
after
of the teams.
sorry, go on.
No, I was just saying, like, I have kind of like at least a friend or two on most of the teams that you kind of play them throughout the years, so you'll see them and be like, "Oh, hey, what's up? This or this," or so.
None of the Brazilians.
I don't remember from that tournament, but some of the guys, like Cesar Almeida, the goalie, and Thiago or Petrus for Barcelona. Like, we're always friendly whenever we see each other. Or Toledo, the lefty.
Yeah.
I think he just went to Vardar this year. One of those like
deal.
teams. Yeah, that's all right.
Then after Brazil, were you going forward? Were you just kind of like this? We suck, or what did you think of handball after that?
No, it was at the very first game was the Brazil game, so we're like, okay, this is obviously something really new to us, and we're like, okay, if every game's like this, I don't know what we're doing. Yeah. But then those like kind of lesser teams we played, and we see the progress. We're like, okay, well, maybe those guys are just a superior level than we are. Maybe we can go do it. So I was kind of motivated. Like, you lose by 60 goals in anything, you want to, if you're competitive at all, you want to get back and try to do your best. I've never lost by 60 again in my career, so I can say, I mean, it's been an improvement.
And then the next few years, you played with Alberta, like our youth team, juvenile teams, junior teams. Any of those experiences stick out to you? Any of the trips that stick out to you?
The one I remember was we went to Partilla Cup.
Yeah.
And it was our last game of the well, I was with the juniors, and it was raining the whole time. And I remember that was the first time I played outdoor handball, and I couldn't even see past like the 9 meters. It was like the court was flooded. It was over my ankles where it was pooling up in the net. And then I went with our younger group, or like my age group, and I played as a back player. And Wyatt Feth had went in net for me, and I scored a goal on the main court at Partilla, and then it said goal by Wyatt Feth. I'm like, no, like, this is my chance to get my name shut out. They give it to him because it was his number, but that one really stuck out. And then at the same time, that was one of the only trips I went on with my brother and like his friends, the guys I grew up with. So it was kind of special in that way. And then, from there, it just took off. We went all over. We went to Italy. We went to Norway. We went all over the world with it, and then progressed up to national team. And then more trips came, and it was like the best decision, because I could have. When I started, I was playing hockey, and then I was like, okay, let's try this handball thing. It's pretty cool. I've seen it, and then I had the choice to go to Barhead or go to Brazil, and it was a pretty easy decision to what sport I wanted to pursue. So
so you were part of the Alberta program, 4 or 5 years before you kind of started with Team Canada?
Yeah, I think I started 2009 or 2010. We went to Venezuela for beginning stages to get to Junior Worlds.
And was that the time you guys qualified, like eventually qualified for Worlds in Greece?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it was 2010 then, maybe.
So do you remember a lot about that, like the process?
Yeah, I remember, because most of the guys that went on that original team, I'll still talk to every now and then, or you still play against them. So Shaq and Tyrell were there from Alberta with me in the early stage. And then like Tuzel and Christophe. And so that was kind of our first integration with the East, like the Quebec guys and us.
Yeah.
So we kind of got in, and then you're like, okay, like these guys are pretty cool. We're expanding. We had 2 guys from Manitoba. We had 1 guy from Saskatchewan. So it kind of, we were all new to the national team program of the side. So it was all just a good bunch of friends, and you just kind of heard stuff, maybe, like we knew the Alberta-Quebec rivalry from just playing juniors and like juveniles and everything. But then once we were all together, we all we had the same objective and we went for it. And I think we
that's the thing
developed.
is, I think we have a huge rivalry, but it stays on the court.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The second that game's over, it's like, oh, if you win or you lose, it's, hey, you were the better team that day, and hey, I'll play you the next day, and maybe we win it. So it's always I think it's a healthy rivalry, not there's no bad blood, especially for us. It's just a great time. Exactly. It's been a while since I've done a nationals, but it's it was always a great time.
What do you remember a lot about the Worlds and your experience at the World Championships?
Yeah, I remember a bit about it. I remember the best game I played was against Sweden, and we still lost by, I think, like 20 goals. But I remember I had a pretty good first half, and then I ended up getting drug tested at the end of the game. but I went to the bathroom at halftime, so I couldn't pee in the cup, and we missed our bus because they wouldn't let me leave, and we had to go back with like Chile on this other bus packed. But it was a good experience. I think that was our first real taste of a level above our Argentina-Brazil, which was the highest we had seen really at that time. Yeah. So then we go and we played. You would watch Argentina just get blown out by these guys, and it was just like, okay, this is something new. Like we're seeing, we're getting a real taste of what this high level handball was. And so I remember just kind of being like speechless seeing some of the guys play. That was a big shock. And
you played against some players that are you played some players that were really that are playing pro right now.
Yeah, we the goalie for Barcelona, Vargas.
You played against Vargas?
Yeah.
Oh.
And we didn't play against him, but Valentin Porte was for Team France at that time. Yeah. And the Swedish pivot Andreas Nilsson, we played against him. Yeah. So yeah, we had some pretty big names that went through. So you kind of see them like, oh, it's cool. We played that guy, and I didn't make a save, but I saw him.
Do you have those videos?
Yeah, I actually thought about this the other day that I wanted to put them up because they gave us kind of a DVD collection of all our games. So
I just moved and I found that. Yeah. And so I called Tyrell. I'm like, yo, Tyrell, I found all these videos from you at the Worlds. So you have it too then?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it's nice. Yeah, yeah.
So now you're part of the national team. Cool. You were part of the Alberta team. When was the start of you going overseas?
So it would be 2015. No, 2013. I went over to Denmark to the high school, and that's when I started playing with a club in Denmark and training kind of full time throughout the week. That was the first kind of taste of a full week schedule where you have to kind of plan around it. So Denmark was the first one in 2013, but the first official club where I moved to a country to play for that club was France in 2015. Right after Pan-am Games, I moved to France, and that was the first time I signed a contract, and you kind of were an official player. You felt like it because part of it, the school experience, you played with the club, you were part of the team, but you also felt like the guys on your team thought you were a guy from the school, not like a guy on the team. It felt more like a placement, but you weren't overly officially on that team. That's what I experienced. I don't know about the other guys, but for me, it was more you were there, but you weren't this key cog in kind of the team, because we were D2 in Denmark, which was the third highest, but we had also a team in the top league. Okay. So they would always send guys coming back from injury or guys who were on a cold streak. They would come down and kind of, we were there to help these guys get back into shape or whatnot. So it was a good experience, and I trained with the top team a bunch, but never really felt like I was officially in a club until I moved to France. So,
And how did you get from Denmark to France? Did someone help you?
Christian Latulip had
Okay.
sent me a message after Pan Am Games, and
Oh, in Toronto.
so, yeah, so
Okay.
JF had Christian had messaged him about he was searching for a goalkeeper or something like that, and then my name came up, and then we went through the emails. And coming off Pan Am Games, you're super jazzed up about what you just went through. You're like, yeah, I'm going anywhere. Like, I'll go play wherever. And then I'm like, okay, let's go to France. Like, Christian's from Montreal, I believe.
Yeah.
Or in Quebec. And then it's like, okay, so I kind of have a guy. I never met him, but he knows me kind of, through a way. And like, yeah, let's go try it out. And then it was just it was a new world when I went over. So it was pretty exciting.
And what division did you start with, and what club in France?
I started with, at the time they were called Val Vert, and it was just pre-national. So that was N3, N2, N1. It's like the sixth highest. Like it wasn't, there was, in our first season, there was only 3 good teams. But like we went undefeated and moved up without any kind of issue. But yeah, then once we moved up to the next level at N3, the teams started getting better. And then now that they moved up to N1 this year.
Oh, wow.
My original club. And then they recently announced they want to get to Pro League, like D2 for 2023. And so they're making great strides. And it was cool to be, for their project, I was the first step. So like whenever we see stuff, like some of the old guys will be in a comment or whatever, and we were like the beginning stage. So it was neat to be a part of something and just kind of watch it grow now.
So from now, your first year in France, you went from Alberta to Team Canada to Denmark to France. Do you think like the journey and your development, you were ready for those steps?
I'd say most of the steps, yeah, I would think I was well prepared. There's the one, I think the club I started with in Denmark may have been maybe one level too high for what my level was at. So I feel like it's more suited to where I am now than where I was at the time, because I was, I'm nervous. I never really seen like guys that high all the time, like that high of a level. And then, so I think it was kind of a shock when I joined that club. But then I think that was the only time I felt kind of unprepared. Was in the academy, they saw the good things I did, and they're like, okay, he could play this, but I wasn't consistent enough to play at the level I was at. So other than that, I think everything it progressed well. So
a big thing we with our youth right now is when we're looking to send them overseas. Since you've done both, do you think that 18 years old, it's good to start off at academy where you have people around you, or do you think it's better just go directly to a club?
I think it depends on the player.
Yeah.
And I think most importantly, it depends on the situation. I think a club is a good idea. The academies help.
Yeah.
But I think the academy, if they're setting you up with a team, won't set you up in a perfect situation for the club.
Okay.
Because I think some of the guys throughout, I think they could have played higher. Some of the guys like myself, I think we should have played lower. But I think if you find the right club where you can get the right amount of minutes per game, you're not like sitting on the bench, but you're also not just, it's too easy for you. I think I would prefer, if I could go back, like I'd prefer probably to start at a club.
Okay.
But I love the academy, but I think I would like to go to a club because my experience was better through the clubs.
Okay. So now, after your first club in France, where did you go then?
So first club in France, I was there for 2 seasons.
Yeah.
And then after that, I moved to Australia, and I played handball with a club in Australia. And that was a unique experience because it was mostly just European people that played. So a lot of French and Germans that go down there. And then at the same time, the Alberta seniors were doing the Super Globe qualifier in Brazil.
Yeah.
club qualifier. And I was doing the Oceanic qualifier in Melbourne. So we got second, or we got third. We ended up third, but Sydney Uni always wins it every year.
Yeah.
And we ended up losing to them by three goals, and everyone's like, oh, okay, this St. Kilda team, this is like, keep an eye. And then we just fell off.
That Sydney Uni team, where do they get their players?
They put out these open recruiting, and then it's basically like, hey, you want to go to Super Globe, and then like they'll get old players, and like now there's guys who used to play in wherever, Switzerland, and they'll be like, oh, message this guy, maybe he would want to come, and then they just kind of go through people they know, or people just show up on a trip and they're a good quality player, and then they just do some trainings and join the team. But a lot of it, there's like they'll reach out to players.
So it's not people that live there.
Well, they live there now, but like some will live there, but then some will come for a couple months, and then they'll be like part of a foreign language school or something, and then it's like their program to get them in. So, and I'm pretty sure actually one of the guys had reached out to Tim Sardison to come play for them at a Super Globe, or if you wanted to come try to do the Super Globe thing. So
that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So Australia was a nice experience.
What's the level? Is there leagues and all that stuff in Australia?
They have a league.
Yeah.
But mostly like the Aussie Championships are the main thing.
Okay.
Because each kind of region will have maybe a couple clubs. It's like one strong club will go versus the strong club in the Northwest or whatever. And then, so the level depends on who's there. Whoever's not permanent resident, it depends which international is kind of coming through at the time. So
there's not a lot of development within Australians.
There's a couple that have moved overseas now. Like the guys that are involved with the national team and stuff. Yeah. I don't know what their national team development and everything is, but I know there's a bunch of guys who have moved overseas to play. And actually a guy, when I was in the academy in Denmark, one of the guys down there, or two of the guys, were at the rival school that Jackson actually went to.
Okay.
So, and then these guys, and now I knew them we played these guys, and then throughout the years we would see each other along the way, and kind of it's a small world, the handball community. So
So after Australia, what happened then?
After Australia, I got offered to go back to France again for another team. I came back to Canada, and then I wasn't really sure what I was going to do, and then a team reached out to me. It was kind of right after Greenland. We had a tournament with Team Canada. Yeah. And then this guy, Jean Brice, who came and helped us in Greenland, he sent me a message and asked, like, hey, do you want to go back to France? His team's asking. And then I ended up going over there. And that was a great experience, too. Like, the head coach was Garrick Kervadik. He won World Championships with France, with like Jackson Richardson and them. He was on that team.
Yeah.
So it was a great experience. I'm glad I went.
What level was that?
It was N3 again.
Okay.
Yeah. So there I was able to work, and I got a salary from the club, so it felt kind of cool to actually not come back out of money, because like I was a student, I couldn't work, and I'm training so many times a week. And so then when I got my first kind of envelope of money, it was just like, this is what I wanted to get. Like, it wasn't a lot. It was still like, I wanted to get to that level. I got to it, and it felt really good. So.
Yeah, well, especially coming where you have to pay for everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Even the national team.
Exactly.
So how long were you with that club? 2 years?
No, I was just there just the 1 year.
And then you came home?
Yeah, and then I came home. So they had asked me if I wanted to go back, and I thought, now I'm an uncle, maybe I want to spend a year at home and just kind of see what happens next. And then so I took a year off, and then we'll see where it goes. And then COVID happened, and then any kind of potential to go anywhere else kind of went on pause for a sec. And then we'll see what happens.
So is it a goal of yours to go back?
I don't know. The goal of mine is I would like to go play somewhere, but somewhere completely different than where I've been.
Okay.
So I wouldn't mind trying to play a season in like Spain or something. So I had asked the goalie for Colombia. I sent him a message the other day asking like how he found his club in Colombia, or I mean in Spain, and then where he kind of went. So something unique with it, but I'm pretty happy with what I've been able to accomplish, especially, you know, when I started, we were still on the up, and I'm from Onaway, and if I were to tell my younger self the stuff I've been able to do with it, you wouldn't really think it. From a small town, you don't really know. But then you look, like Kim had an amazing career, and she's you can make something special if you push yourself or you dream big enough to do it, and you have to take that step too.
Yeah, it's crazy to think our players that have been the most successful have come from the smallest towns.
Yeah.
Like you, Abby Perry, Kim Iwanovich. Yeah. Like, it's pretty amazing where you find these players.
Yeah, and so I actually started coaching at the high school this year in Onaway.
Yeah.
And I loved it. Oh, it felt so good to be back. Like they haven't had a team in a while, and I went there, and I'm friends with the gym teacher who coaches there, or he's the teacher there, and he's like, just explain your story, and then maybe it'll motivate these kids. And we went, and they're listening, and I'm like, if you don't want to listen, like, go ahead, you don't have to listen. But the ones that were really into it, that you can tell, hey, we could do something, and there were some good players. So it was kind of a shame we got shut down, but.
And the craziest thing is,
it was fun to go back and kind of.
Yeah, and the craziest thing about it is, like, you have been away, like, from our development for so long.
Yeah.
It would have been neat for you to see when you played compared to now, where any team made provincials when you came, and there was like 8 teams. To now, you have qualifiers. Yeah. You have all the zones. There's tournaments every single weekend. Your school was looking for tournaments, and we were like, you have to register for tournaments in October to be able to get them into March, April. And like, it would have been cool for you to see the difference of handball, where, you know, that it's all about qualifiers. It's all about tournaments. It's just a different world now.
Yeah. And from afar, kind of, I'd see on Facebook or whatever, like these teams that would win the tournament. I didn't even know who these teams were. Like, there was, I'm not from Edmonton, but I had never heard of a lot of these schools. And it's like,
even there,
obviously it's blowing up, and like.
Well, the thing is, like, when you went to school in Onaway, there was no tiers. It was just whoever wants to make a team. Now there's rules. Now there's tier 2, tier 1. Teams from Canmore win a provincial. So it's neat to see, and it was cool when I heard that you were coaching, because Kelly was coaching the girls.
Yeah.
So his daughter was going to be playing. Right?
Yeah, Jordan was coming in. Yeah.
So that would have been pretty cool. I warned the referees. I was like, hey, you guys don't know who Kelly is.
Keep an eye on that guy over there.
Yeah, you're gonna be scared, but so is your plan to continue with the national team?
Yeah, my plan is 100%. I want to play, and right now it's in the air what's going on, but I'm constantly doing my best to stay at least in shape for when something that kicks off. But it's a long road. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm still 100% in. I love it. I think I was thinking about this the other day. I think over the years, like, there's been a lack of faith in what the federation's been doing. And when I started coming into the national team, there was kind of there was an honor to play for it and to go when you were representing the country. And now it's like, what's the point? All you hear is what's going on. And I mean, it's not great. So, I mean, it's kind of frustrating. So I'm hoping if things can change and develop, it can go back to where it was. It was a huge honor when we made it. Like when Tyrell and I got announced to the Pan Am Games team, that was, I remember because we got told the team, and it was the first Canada Day. I was in Sherwood Park, and there was a fireworks show, and the anthem was playing. I teared up, and it was just like this like 4-year window of trying to get to these camps, and you train, you finally make it. And for my position, there was a bunch of goalies that have done it before, and there was a big group, and I wasn't sure what it was going to be. And then when I got the mail and it said you made it, it was just like, I did it. You know, this was the one thing they told us about this when we were in Greece. Like, we want you guys going through this cycle, going for the Pan Am Games, and then that was special. So when we went in Greenland, we had an amazing tournament, and then we did the qualifiers against the U.S. And since that qualifying games, I haven't done anything with the national team.
So you're the player rep for men's?
Yeah.
And so what's the issue? Is it just no coach, or like what is going on with it?
There's all kinds of stuff. I don't know what they want me to say, but I think I speak on behalf of everybody when I say most of the things. So it seems like there's no plan. I think the big issue is it doesn't seem like there's any sort of plan. So there's confusion about when the next tournament's going to be, or the coaching, or what's going to happen. But I feel like there's stuff you can do in between that doesn't have to be related to a tournament. You can get a team together. Well, when you can get a team together, run a camp without knowing the next time you're going to play.
Yeah.
And I think that's something we've been lacking for a little bit here. And I think it's just a lack of direction, a lack of true leadership in a way. And no one's really kind of putting their foot forward and reaching out to the players as much. Where they say, I understand the frustration, and say maybe we're frustrated with this, or develop a plan, or say something. And I feel like that's something, the transparency or the direction is something that we're lacking. And I think that's something that needs to change.
Have you guys ever thought, like, doing it work almost like Europe, where you have blackout times throughout the season where those are times for camps? Because I find an issue is, like, we do a lot. Quebec does a lot. Saskatchewan is starting to travel more. That they don't put out saying this, and this, or dates that we could hold camps. So if your province chooses to do things, it's affecting your players. You said it perfectly. Sometimes we don't know about the tournaments, and sometimes that happens. But we can still control our own destiny and control how we run our program.
100%. And it was something that I had discussed with some of the other guys and some of the other members on the board was you can set up maybe, depending, because, we're paying for everything, you can set up 4 camps throughout a year or 3 camps throughout a year. And I think a good way that would help develop it, and it's like Saskatchewan's blowing up in the last couple of years. Like players are growing, the program's growing. Like, you can host a camp in Montreal, you can host a camp in Edmonton, but host a camp in Regina if you can make it work out, and you could showcase. We can bring all the talent to there, and then more Saskatchewan players can get involved, and more players on, say, the fringe of the team can see it and be like, I can do that, or I can beat that guy, or I want to beat that guy because I don't like whatever. And I think it's just a way that we can help grow the program, and I just feel like we're stuck right now. So.
And is there a coach?
I was told there was, but I don't really know officially.
If there is or not. I just, even like, as I work for Alberta Handball, and there's no information that comes to us. We have no clue. I mean, I just got information from the youth coach going, hey, do you have some players to be 16th, 17th, and 18th players? We qualified for the Worlds in end of September, but it's going to cost them $5,500. So I wrote him, like, you want us to send players to sit in the stands for $5,500? Why take those players?
Exactly.
And so it's I mean, I hopefully it changes around, because like you said it. I mean, as a coach, like, Pan Am Games in 2015 was one of the most incredible experiences. And like here in Alberta, which I care about, is we have so many good young athletes that you want to see them. I flew to Montreal to watch our girls play at the IHF challenge, and our
Yeah.
girls were top scorers, and they qualified for Worlds. They loved the experience. They
Yeah.
get home, and then it's okay. I haven't heard anything in 6 months.
Yeah.
And so
That's
it's,
exactly the thing.
it's, you know what, I believe, like, like provinces aren't going to nationals. And I
Yeah.
think it all goes to, it all runs together. Your
Yeah.
national teams play more. Hey, the coaches are going to be at nationals.
Yeah.
Hey guys, maybe we don't go to USA Nationals. If you
Yeah.
want to be on the national team, you got to really, they need to see you at Canadian.
Yeah, you got to showcase what you can do. And I remember coming up, that was our thing, was go to nationals, and coaches are going to be there. They're always watching, they're always scouting. And so you're like, okay, like, got to put on a show or do your best in this situation. I think that's something that totally missing now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And coming back, I think October, November was the first time I went to an Alberta practice in 5 years. And the level of the guys, it's like, oh, these are some great players, but I've never even heard of these names.
Yeah.
It's, these guys should be at these camps or doing this stuff. And it's like, well, why should we when we don't know what the hell we want to do, or what's this? It's a waste of time. People are students. It's,
but you said it perfectly. It comes from all the negativity that comes from it. The national team, all this, all that. Those guys, 90% have never even played Quebec yet at a national championships. Because anytime it's out west, Quebec hasn't shown up. So, a big thing, even we don't go there anymore. But what happens is like, well, why do I need to go to nationals? I make the team no matter what.
Yeah.
And so I think all that kind of stuff needs to, our national championships, I don't care if there's 6 teams there. It should be an event. It should be, you should want to win the nationals. It's
it used to, I remember nationals was the thing. We trained all year for nationals, and it was a show. You make that final, all the teams are watching, everyone cared, and when you finally win, it's just like, that was a years of work. You feel amazing at the end, and
you're known as the best team in Canada.
Yeah. And I remember those. It was amazing, and I feel like I'm concerned the great feelings I had, the great memories I had, might not come back if things don't change from the top down.
I agree.
So,
and then you were a part of it this year when we were going to go to USA Nationals, and you were practicing with us, and we found out the dates for US, and it was the same time as our high school provincials. And I said to the players, I'm sorry, but we have to be here for high school. And half the people are like, sorry, I don't want to go to Canadian Nationals. I'd rather not do any competition.
Yeah.
And those are some players that have played national team. Those are some players that have gone to nationals, but they're like, no one cares. They're like, we go, we win. It's not on any social media. The website, it's not on anything. And like I say, it should be an event. Like, how hard is it to live stream now?
No, when I watched, you guys had a tournament, I think in Red Deer or something.
Yeah,
with
provincials.
And I was streaming those, like I was watching the games. And,
every game. In our high school, it has to be live streamed. It's mandatory if you win the host that it has to be live streamed. It's part of the process. But that's where I hope, like, I just find it anyways, like, I've tried to join the board, but then they say, well, you work for Alberta. There's certain rules that you can't join, which is untrue because the president works for BC Handball. There's people all over the place. And I think there's great people in Canada. And no, I don't think that board is getting challenged to do better things. And I think they don't want to be challenged. And so instead of everyone working together, it's everyone's own agenda.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And I hope it changes because, like I said, some of my greatest moments as a coach, and I've coached in Europe, is national championships, coaching the national team. Those are things that I love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. And it seems like with the stuff going on, unfortunately, my generation's, say, athletic primes are being sacrificed for it.
Yeah.
So whatever people want to push their own stuff, their own agendas, I think at the end of the day, it's about the players.
Yeah.
And I don't think people are doing the best in the interest of the players. And I think, it just trickles down to every level. So
Yeah, and the last thing about it, not to dwell too much, is that we understand COVID is right now, but like
Yeah,
our phase approach in 10 days we're training inside now.
yeah,
Saskatchewan's almost up. Like there should be a program for these players. Yeah, you don't know when your next competition, but there's a world championships. There has to be something.
yeah. There
And so
will be.
like you're not preparing, and the best time right now is, you have the Americans that are improving a lot. They're not
Yeah,
allowed to do anything right now.
yeah.
So there's like, and so what the,
There's yeah. There's a window that we
yeah,
can try to maybe make up some ground that we've
yeah,
fallen behind in the last little bit. And
yeah,
I agree with you 100%
yeah,
on this. It's
yeah,
a it's a,
yeah.
it's a
It's
frustrating spot.
yeah.
And
We've
like
actually,
as the athlete rep, it's
yeah,
I have a lot of conversations with the players, and something I've always had an issue with as a player through the system was the lack of transparency, and no one
yeah,
wanted to answer questions. So
yeah.
I don't care if they know. Anytime I get a response from anyone, I send it directly to all the guys that I talk to and be like, hey, this is exactly what they told me. They are not telling me anything. I'm sorry, but you can ask me questions. I'll ask questions of people and they won't respond or whatever's going on. And
Have
I
you
think,
ever thought of doing like a live stream with the president of the board, and where athletes could ask questions and bring it so transparency is there?
I'm quite sure that won't, I'm quite sure that won't happen.
Oh no, I emailed
It's,
David. I
yeah.
emailed David and asked him to be on the podcast.
Oh, I should.
Yeah, just to ask questions, but yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
I'd like to know about BC handball too. I don't know anything about BC. We went there once for nationals. It was cool.
yeah, exactly, right?
At the Richmond Oval, and then
Yeah. I'm
I
just a
don't
believer in, before you join the CTHF board, you should have some qualifications in your own province. It just
yeah,
seems like a lot of board members are from our provinces that really don't have handball, so they're not understanding like what it takes to
yeah,
really to build. Like I look at our website, there's nothing on there.
yeah. I know. And we had because for example, one of the guys on the team develops websites and stuff, and like, hey, mention my name maybe that he could help out with the website.
Yeah.
And then it's like, no, we got it taken care of. Or the social media is the same thing.
The only
There's
thing
stuff.
on social media is Happy Canada Day, Happy this day. But like
Yeah,
you've had 3 months. You couldn't you write this IHF and say, hey, can we have some coaching symposiums online? Can
yeah,
we not do things? Like there's so much time that is wasted that could have been beneficial to the
yeah,
program where people could have invested time. It's the
yeah,
perfect time. My agenda is get there before the other sports start again.
yeah.
And it's just too bad. But hopefully things will change eventually.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping. That's why I'm not giving up on it. I'm optimistic.
Yeah,
Um, Not all the people I talk to are optimistic, but I try to encourage and be like, we can do stuff. If they don't want to do stuff collectively, we can do stuff individually. Like, get your running, get your training, do
exactly.
what you can, watch video, do what you can. And if people don't want to say hold up their end, we can hold up our end
Yeah,
as the player. So
exactly. And
that's what
it's
I'm.
sad because Alexi was doing such a good job too. I mean, when you're not paid and you have a family, things get in the
Yeah,
way. But
it's
you just saw, like, I watched your games in Greenland, and you saw
yeah,
such a progression. And yeah, it sucked that you lost to the States, but States came out with
yeah, I think,
not in my opinion, not an American team. But I
yeah.
mean,
But yeah, it was a beatable team, but the U.S. put in so much work on every aspect that
yeah,
we're just not doing.
yeah,
And I just feel
exactly.
like it doesn't go far to just look at what the U.S. is doing. Yeah, they got help from sponsors and all this other
Yeah,
stuff, but you can look at a post they make and just, you don't have
yeah.
to copy completely, but you can
Oh yeah,
do what they're doing. They have a presence all the time, and I don't barely
exactly.
see anything. So
Exactly. And yeah, and you know what? I believe that when someone loves a sport as much as like you do and so many of the national team players, if it costs you $500 to do a camp in Canada with the players, always the players that love it and see something like that could happen, they'll find the money for it.
yeah,
Yeah, and so going forward,
yeah.
so what's your goals with handball still?
I still want to compete with the national team, but I really kind of want to pass on what I've learned along the way.
Yeah.
Because maybe, obviously I'm not going to play for PSG anytime soon. I'm ready if they listen.
I'll tag them.
Yeah. But I had such a great time coaching at Onaway that if I could inspire some kids to, if just one guy to do a similar thing or go over and just play with Alberta for a year and go on one trip, and that's a life-changing experience. And I think I'm at a spot that I'd like to do that and help someone out, because I think it's just people get caught up in where they're from, and I don't think it matters at all. It clearly doesn't matter in some cases. It's just there was yeah, I'll go off. I studied television broadcasting at NAIT, and when I did my internship at Breakfast Television, one of the women who was a reporter there, she told me, at one point in your life, you have to take that dive in. You have to just forget everything behind you, and if you want it, you go in and you step in. Everyone's scared at one point. You have to do that jump, and then that always stuck with me. And it was like, so I went to France. I didn't speak French. I didn't know anybody, and I got off the train in Poitiers the first season, and the guys did the bisou, they kiss on the cheek, and I don't speak the language. None of them are speaking the language. I'm just in this other country, and it was just that was one of the best decisions I ever made. At the time, you're like, what am I doing? You're on this flight. You're just going anywhere. But I took the leap, and I would have regretted not doing it, because it changed my life. So.
And you know what? I mean, I've known you since you're 14, I think, or when you started playing handball. And I think I've seen you grow as a player, and obviously I didn't see you for 3-4 years. But when I saw you this year at a practice, I'm in my head, I'm like, holy crap, your explosiveness, everything. But I think the biggest thing is your growth as a person from all those experiences, your positivity. Obviously, there was ups and downs with Alberta Handball and stuff, but you can see you've grown up so much as a person, and just from what you've done in this world. When you look back, are you 30? Not even yet?
I'm 28.
28 years old. Tell me how many people have done what you've done.
Yeah.
Right?
That's something I have to tell myself sometimes, because I'm kind of like, oh, what am I doing? And then it's like, you know what? I've done something nobody gets to do. Well, few people get to do. So,
well,
and appreciate your words. It feels good. So
it's
feel like
true. It's
something.
It's
something that comes. So.
Yeah. Just I don't know where you are, but just so you know, it should be out tomorrow or the day. We're actually starting a handball academy.
Yeah.
So there you go. There's a place for you there. There'll be some money involved in it and stuff. So we want to start a handball academy because we have so much talent in the 13 to 15, 16 range. We really our goal with this generation is really work with them to have something where they can go to Europe when they hit 18 years old.
Yeah.
So look for it. That's what we always need is a goalie coach.
Hey, I'm coach 100% open.
Yeah, for experiences and all that. I won't keep you too much longer. Just a couple other questions is, if you could remember one game you've ever played in your life, what's the one game you remember the most?
I think the game I remember the most was the first time I played in a gold medal game for the senior team. We were at a game in Regina, and Alex Ward was the other goalie.
Yeah.
And I don't know, he got food poisoning or something the day before, and it was like, all right, Lyndon, you're in. I think I was 16 or something. And it's like, oh, it's just the finals against Quebec. Okay, go. And then we ended up winning the game, and that was, I think that was a huge, huge moment in my career, was that game. And I still remember it, and it was just like, well, Lyndon, you're starting. It's like, okay, here we go. It's like almost all game long, I could feel just butterflies, and that was a game that really stuck.
What about with the national team?
National team, one of the games that stuck with me the most, I'd say it was when we beat Uruguay in Greenland, actually.
The last game for fifth?
Yeah. It was it was just, it felt good because we had lost the first time to them. And then it just felt like the whole tournament built up and we got it all together and we just came out as a team, and maybe they were older or they were tired or whatnot, but it just felt like that was a time we just all came together and clicked, and you just saw the years of training together and the chemistry built between all these guys. And that was a special one. That and Puerto Rico at the end too, because Puerto Rico was a team we always were battling back and forth. And then when we beat them, it was a close game, but it was you just see all the work come together. And then when it all goes, it doesn't have to go perfect the whole game, but when it all kind of works, it's a beautiful thing.
You know what's funny is I just a few days ago, I had nothing to do and I watched those games online.
Yeah.
And I watched your guys' game against Greenland. I don't know if you know this, but that right back that always takes some shot the same spot every time.
I know what shot. I know.
I was like Lyndon,
all the players, and like I know, and he was shooting, and I just couldn't for some reason get my leg to move, and the guys are like, Lyndon, like, what are you doing? He's shooting here. I'm like, guys, I know he's shooting there. I just can't get it.
So it was in the plan that you guys knew he shot there.
Oh, it was in the video. It was in everything. It was clear throughout the game he was doing that. And we had played Greenland in Argentina, and it was the same thing. And I did really well against him and the left back, and we knew their shots. And for some reason, I couldn't get it. And it was the same thing with Saeed from New York. We played them in Toronto in the one year, and it was always like Lyndon, slow to the right. And sure, he shoots it hard, but he would just shoot it at the same spot. And I just couldn't get to that spot. It's not a weakness. Nobody know that, but it was awesome. It was just one of those games where it's the one thing that just wasn't clicking. And I remember that. I still see it every day.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for doing this, Lyndon. I appreciate it. And it's great to hear, and hopefully a lot of people watch this. It's great to see you were a part of it when we went on our first trip to Brazil, and you kind of have seen the growth of handball in the last 14 years, and it's pretty cool to see. And like you said, hopefully you can get involved in coaching and everything here to give back so much of your knowledge to our young kids and show them that there's so much more in handball that you can do.
Yeah. Man, I'd love to. Thanks for having me on. It's I could just chat for hours. Good.
So thank you, Lyndon, and we'll talk to you soon, and we'll see you at beach.
Yeah, we're gonna win it all. Freak show, baby.
Exactly. See ya. Bye.
See ya. Bye.